Écoutez et répétez. Fougere. Today, we're going to be taking a close look at just what characterizes this elusive fragrance family. But first, a cool opening. All right, folks, so the Fougere fragrance family is one of the main olfactive families, okay, of perfumes. How many of you knew that perfumes, colognes, fragrances have families that they belong to? Bet you didn't know that. And the name Fougere actually originates from the French word for fern, okay? We're creating some imagery already with just the name of the class of these fragrances. So Fougere fragrances, Fougere perfumes, are made with a blend of fragrances, okay? So the top notes are sweet with the scent of lavender flowers. And as the more volatile, lighter notes, i.e. the top notes, components evaporate, the scent of oak moss derived from a species of lichen, that's where we get the fern, the Fougere, and described as woody, sharp, and slightly sweet, and curcumin, similar to the scent of a new mown hay, become noticeable, all right? An aromatic Fougere, a derivative of this class, contains additional notes of herb, spice, and or wood, all right? So the name originated with Aubusson Parfums Fougere Royale in 1882, okay? And this is created by perfumer Paul Perfumery. All right, and here I'm going to flash a picture of the original bottle so you can see what the stuff looks like. All right, now many modern Fougere perfumes have various citrus, herbaceous, green, floral, and even animal-like notes included. The most common additions to the basic fragrance blend include vetiver, which is kind of like a woody, fragrant smell. It's definitely in the woody fragrance, part of the fragrance wheel, and geranium, which is a nice kind of floral, kind of has a white floral smell. And bergamot even also is a very common popular choice that's often present to add a bit of, piquantness or sharpness or play of the nose into that smooth lavender top note that typically characterizes Fougere fragrances. And so some common examples of Fougeres to kind of link your brain that you've probably already smelled and didn't even realize you were smelling, in fact, a Fougere, include Proux by Fabergé, and they make probably one of the more popular aftershaves that I mentioned. We have Azero pour Homme, Boss by Hugo Boss, Prada for Men, Eternity for Men by Calvin Klein, Dolce & Gabbana pour Homme, Dracar Noir by Guy Laroche, and Polo Blue and Chaps by Ralph Lauren. All right, so the things about Fougeres is that these perfumes are typically especially popular as fragrances for men, okay? A lot of them have that kind of aftershavey smell, all right? That blend of the oak moss and the lavender and whatever other citrus or spicy notes, more piquant notes might be blended in there, kind of create this very nice, fresh, like, I just kind of clean my face with a razor type of smell. I'm kind of dabbing it on, all right? So very, very, very important, enduring fragrance motif. All right, so Fougere is pretty much kind of like the man's man of the fragrance family in the world of perfumery, okay? It's kind of like, if you don't know what else, like if you were shopping for the average guy, and you know from my first episode that I don't really like to gender fragrances because truly none of them have a gender, but just as properly conceived, all right, in their conception, it was kind of men were the target. And so to this day, I feel like Fougeres and any fragrance that falls into that family is going to be a safe bet very much for a guy who you might be shopping for a fragrance and he doesn't know the first thing about fragrance or what he even wants to smell like. He just says he wants to smell good. Fougere, that's what you get him. So having said that, okay, No Harry's Fragrance Counter episode is complete without an actual review of a fragrance. And we're going to be, in this episode, taking a look, all right, an inspectful, watchful eye at one of the fragrances that I mentioned in that litany of Fougeres, the infamous Drakkar Noir. Okay, so Drakkar Noir is one that is, like I think a lot of the fragrances that I've reviewed so far, pretty recognizable, but it's going to be more recognizable depending on the generation that you come from, all right? This was launched in 1982, okay? And we'll get to the characterization behind this, as I always do with these fragrances. But first, let me walk you down what composes the body of this iconic Fougere, all right? So the top notes, as expected from our little opening lecture on just what a Fougere typically is, contains lavender, indeed, lemon, mint, bergamot, rosemary, lemon verbena, basil, and artemisia. Our middle notes include juniper, coriander, cinnamon, wormwood, carnation, angelica, and jasmine. All right. And then the base notes include oak moss, leather, fir, pine tree needles, sandalwood, vetiver, patchouli, cedar, amber, and resins. Phew. Okay, so I feel like out of any fragrance I've reviewed on this channel so far, this probably has the the longest list of notes that compose its body. But for all the rigmarole, okay, around what actually, is in the DNA of this stuff, it is, it's very, very much falls in line, very, very much, par for the course when it comes to the Fougere fragrance family, right? Kind of like I said, it very much has that characteristic lavender opening, and you get the mint, the lemon, and the bergamot, and even rosemary just kind of like opens you up. Yeah, it's just kind of like almost like a sigh of relief almost. And then that gives way to the middle notes. It seems really, the middle notes, I don't know how much they play. I do smell a little bit, I guess, of the wormwood and maybe some of the juniper, but that kind of just serves as a bridge to those cedary base notes that you really get. And that's kind of like, you get the nice of the lavender, the lemon, the mint, and the bergamot, almost kind of like fresh out the shower in a way, smell. And then the base notes are kind of like, ooh, so it goes, ooh, it's like a nice slow burn after effect. Yeah, and that's a very, that's a formidable dynamic punch, formidable dynamic. There's a reason why it's such a tried, tested, and true motif in the world of fragrance and perfumery. So I do have to be honest though, a lot of people, obviously I wasn't quite around, or maybe it isn't that obvious to viewers, but I wasn't really around in the 80s when this was really, really hot. But I'm told that all the clubs in the 80s reeked of Drakkar Noir, okay? All the fellas used to spray this on, used to baptize themselves in Drakkar Noir, essentially. This was the holy water of 80s club nightlife, okay? So it does, some people it has that kind of, for lack of a better word, douchey smell. I'm just gonna be honest. It definitely smells like, it smells like someone who, wants the appearance that they have their life together. It definitely smells flirtatious a bit. I could see that being a flirtatious smell. A lot of Fougeres are kind of like that kind of like solid, like Fougere smell. Hard to describe. By that I mean it smells it smells edgy, kind of like an edgy male narcissist is what this makes me think of. Who wears tank tops the color of this bottle, a nice black, and slick back hair. Yeah, but it's for everyone who likes Fougere, because this is a classic Fougere. But as always, we're gonna check in with our buddies and pals over at Fragrantica to see, you know, what they have to say about this sometimes polarizing Fougere. All right, so Morgoth01 says, probably the most influential perfume of all time. See, folks, I'm telling you, this is iconic. And of course, the most influential perfume of all time would be a Fougere. That's just how, you know, preeminent this fragrance family, this olfactive family truly is and has been. Copied millions times by million brands. If you're not happy with its current formula, then get Dakar by El Rehab. It's close to the original. FCM415 says, sad to read that the Drakkar sold now has no longevity, because in the 80s and 90s, when I was too young to wear it, it was a room-filling sillage beast. Sillage, by the way, refers to the capacity for a fragrance to travel, okay? To travel. One example of a fragrance with a good sillage would be like weed. If you've ever walked down the street and smelled weed, very good sillage, excellent sillage. It was distinct and very popular and smelled it everywhere. Clubs, airports, and the office. What'd I tell you about those clubs? And Shen Chan says, it's a blind buy. My wife loves it. I feel it's not bad, but it smells like soap. Ooh. I definitely get that. It definitely smells a bit kind of shower jelly. That's kind of what I said earlier about that fresh out the shower smell. But I think that's why Fougeres are so popular. It's because you can, you know, typically when we put on shower gel, you know, we want to smell clean, but, you know, shower gel, it's functional. It doesn't necessarily last on our skin throughout the day, that clean smell. And so that's why I think for a lot of people who maybe don't otherwise give that much thought into perfume or fragrance or what they smell like, they just want to smell clean, they go for Fougeres. It works. And finally, Donnie and Cork says, proper men's fragrance. This isn't today's type of men's scent. Today, young guys like to smell all sweet and flowery, a bit like their girlfriends. Then they just wander through life metrosexually. This stuff puts hair on your chest and lead in your pencil. Very clean and very, very masculine. Wow, I'm so glad it's masculine and puts hair on your chest and lead in your pencil. I don't know. I have a deficit of chest hair. Maybe I need to spritz on a little more on Dakar Noir right in there. All right, and so the official Harry's fragrance counter review for Dakar Noir, all right, our model Fougere, is going to be 4 out of 5 stars. Well, folks, that is going to be it for your primer on the preeminent, always relevant Fougere olfactive family. That's all I got for you today. Till next time, for your own sake and those all around you, keep smelling good.